A Treatise of Satan's Temptations. By Richard Gilpin. A Discourse of the Malice, Power, Cruelty and Diligence of Satan. Third part of Chapter 17. Satan's deceits against religious services and duties. The grounds of his displeasure against religious duties, and more. 2. Secondly, the soul hath also its indispositions, which he readily improves against duty to hinder it. As first, it is capable of a spiritual sluggishness and dullness, wherein the spiritual senses are so bound up, that it considers not, minds not, hath no list nor inclination to acts of service. What a stupefaction are our spirits capable of! As David in his adultery seems not to mind nor care what he had done. In like manner are some in a lethargy. As the prophet speaks, they care not to seek after God. Bernard hath a description of it: contrahitter animus, subtrahitter gratia, defervescit novitius fervor, ingravescit torpor fastidiosus. The spirit is contracted, grace withdrawn, fervor abates, sluggishness draws on, and then duties are neglected. Secondly, the spirit is indisposed by a throng of worldly affairs, and these oft jostle out duty. Christ tells us they have the same influence upon men that gluttony and drunkenness have, and these unfit men for action. Take heed, saith Luke 21:34, to yourselves, lest at any time your heart be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness, and the cares of this life. These then may at so high a rate overcharge the souls of men, so as to make them frame excuses: I have bought a farm or oxen, and therefore I cannot attend. And by this means, may they grow so neglective, that the day of the Lord may come upon them at unawares. Thirdly, sometimes the soul is discomposed through passion, and then it is indisposed, which opportunity the devil espying, he clauseth in with it. Sometime he blows the fire, that the heat of anger may put them upon a carelessness. Sometimes he pleads their present frame as an unfitness for service, and so upon a pretence of reverence to the service, and leaving the gift at the altar till they be in a better humor, many times the gift is not offered at all. 1 Peter 3:7. The Apostle directs husbands to manage their authority over their wives with prudence, for the avoiding of brawls and contentions. Ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor to the wife as the weaker vessel. The reason of which advice he gives in these words: that your prayers be not hindered. Prayers are hindered partly in their success when they prevail not, partly they are hindered when the duty of prayer is put by, and suspended. And this doubtless the Apostle aims at, to teach us that contentious quarrelings in a family hinder the exercise of the duty of prayer. Elisha, 2 Kings 3, discomposed himself in his earnest reproof of Jehoram, for with great vehemency he had spoken to him. Verse 13, 14, What have I to do with thee? Get thee to the prophets of thy father. Were it not that I regard the presence of Jehoshaphat, I would not look toward thee, nor see thee. But when he set himself to receive the visions of God, he calls for a minstrel. Verse 15, the reason whereof, as Peter Martyr and others suppose, was this, that however what he spake to Jehoram proceeded from zeal, yet being but a man, and subject to the like infirmities of other men, it had distracted and discomposed his spirit, which made him unfit and incapable to entertain the visions of God. Music then being a natural means for the composure and quiet of the mind, he takes that course to calm and fit himself for that work. Fourthly, ignorance and prejudice are spiritual indispositions, which are not neglected by the devil. Knowledge is the eye and guide of the soul. If there be darkness there, all acts which depend upon better instruction must cease. The disciples' ignorance of Scriptures brought in their unbelief. Christ notes, that as the fountainhead of all their backwardness, Luke 24:25, O fools, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken. In like manner, if men are not clear, or knowing in the ways and necessities of duty and service, the devil can easily prevail with them to forbear and neglect. Prejudice riseth up, to justify the disregard of duty, and offers reasons which it thinks cannot be answered. 3. Thirdly, Satan endeavors to prevent duty by discouragements. If he can make the knees feeble, and the hands hang down, he will quickly cause activity and motion to cease. The ways by which he endeavors to discourage men from the duties of service are these. 1. First, he sets before them the toil and burden of duty. If a man sets his face toward heaven, thus he endeavors to scare him off. Is not, saith he, the way of religion a dull melancholy way? Is it not a toil, a tedious task? Are not these unreasonable injunctions: pray continually, pray without ceasing, preach in season and out of season? This suggestion, though it be expressly contrary to command, yet being so suitable to the idle and sluggish tempers of men, they are the more apt to take notice of it, and accordingly they seek ways and shifts of accommodating the command to their inclinations. In Amos 8:5, the toil of Sabbaths and festival services, as they thought it, makes them weary of the duty. When will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn? And the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat? These men thought their services tedious, and entrenching upon their callings and occupations, Malachi 1:13, they said, Behold, what a weariness is it! Looking upon it as an insufferable burden, nay they proceeded so far as to snuff at it. Now when the devil had so far prevailed with them, it was easy to put them upon neglect. Which, as the place cited speaks, presently followed upon it, they brought the torn, and the lame, and the sick for a sacrifice. Satan first presented these services as a wearisome burden, then they snuffed at them. Next they thought any service good enough, how mean soever, though to an open violation of the law of worship. And lastly, from a pollution of the table of the Lord they proceeded to a plain contempt of duty. The table of the Lord is polluted, and the fruit thereof, even his meat is contemptible. Verse 12. In the management of this discouragement, the devil hath most success upon those that have not yet tasted the sweetness and easiness of the ways of the Lord. His yoke is indeed easy, his burden is light. His service is a true freedom to those that are acquainted with God, and exercised in his service. But when men are first beginning to look after God and duty, and are not yet filled and satisfied with the fatness of his house, this temptation hath the greater force upon them, and they are apt to be discouraged thereby. 2. Secondly, he endeavors to discourage them from the one of success in the duties of worship. When they have waited long and sought the Lord, then he puts them upon resolves of declining any further prosecution, as he did with Joram at the siege of Samaria. Why wait I upon the Lord any longer? 2 Kings 5:33, said he, after he had expected deliverance a long time without any appearance of help. When Saul saw that God answered him not, neither by dreams, nor by Urim, nor by prophets, 1 Samuel 28:6, 7, the devil easily persuaded him to leave off the ordinary ways of attendance upon God, and to consult with the witch of Endor. The profane persons mentioned in Malachi 3:14, that had cast off all regard to his laws, all respect to his ordinances, were brought to this pitch of iniquity, by the suggestions of one of success. They said, It is vain to serve God, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinances, and that we have walked mournfully before the Lord of hosts? It seems they were like the people spoken of in Isaiah 58:2-3, they had fasted and prayed, and God delayed to answer them, which they looked upon as a disobligement from duty, and that which they could peremptorily insist upon, as a reason which might justify their neglect. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Neither doth this discouragement fall heavy only upon those, whose hearts are departed already from God, who might be supposed to be forward, to embrace any excuse from his service. But we shall find it bears hard, upon the children of God. David was ready to give over all, as a man forsaken of God, Psalm 22:1-2, Why hast thou forsaken me? O my God, I cry in the daytime, but thou hearest not, and in the night season, and am not silent. Thanks.